How do you know, truly know, that you aren't dreaming right now? 2,000 years ago, the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi dreamed he was a butterfly. When he woke up, he couldn't tell if he was a man who had dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming he was a man. The Dream of the Red Chamber explores a concept much like a glitch in the Matrix, and turns it into the greatest novel in Chinese history. The title itself alludes to a dream, but this is more than a single vision. It is a dream within a dream, wrapped in an illusion. In the very first chapter, a man named Zayan Xian dreamed of a strange monk and a priest carrying the jade of spiritual enlightenment. When he woke up, the characters from his dream were literally standing at his front door. Was the dream a vision of reality, or is reality just the part of the dream we happen to be awake for? The 120 chapters of the novel form one vast collective dream. Some dreamed of fame, others dreamed of wealth. Some dreamed of power, and others dreamed of love. The deeper the dream, the more painful the awakening. Every dream in the Dream of the Red Chamber has a single point of origin. It was called the Land of Illusion. In the 5th chapter, Bao Yu fell asleep in the room of his relative, Qin Keqing. In his dream, he traveled to this mystical realm. He saw the prophetic poems and heard the songs that revealed exactly how everyone he loved would suffer and die. He was shown the ending of the entire story before his own journey had even truly started. Then he woke up and forgot everything. This was the most brutal setup of the entire book. The prophecy was given, but no one could remember it. The Land of Illusion was the source code of the Red Chamber, the underlying logic of that entire world. He saw who was destined to pay a debt of tears, who would renounce the world, and who would meet their end when the final candle flickered out. But those living inside the dream could not see the registers of the 12 beauties. They could only follow the written script, step by step, until they reached their predetermined end. Bao Yu enters the heart of the simulation. He saw the truth, and then he forgot it. Because of this, he was trapped in the dream. He was forced to struggle, to suffer, and to lose. It was only at the very end, standing alone in the vast white silence of the snow, that he finally, truly woke up. The question is, how much must a person lose before they are? Outside the cosmic land of illusion, there was another dream, Grandview Garden. Grandview Garden was a paradise built with the Jia family's entire fortune. It was a garden of pure escapism for Bao Yu and his sisters. Once the gates were closed, the outside world with its cold politics and rigid rules could be temporarily forgotten. Behind those gates, they wrote poetry, drank wine, and celebrated endless birthdays. They lived as if this life could last forever. However, this garden was eventually revealed to be a dream that was destined to end. In the famous Chinese tale, The Peach Blossom Spring, a fisherman stumbles into a hidden utopia where the people were unaware of the rise and fall of dynasties. But once he left, he could never find his way back. Grandview Garden was exactly the same. It was never meant to be a permanent sanctuary. It was a temporary refuge from a reality that was already closing in. When the dream finally ended, everyone had to return to their assigned fates. No one was allowed to stay. If they knew it was a dream, why did they enter it? Because the dream was simply too beautiful to refuse. It was so beautiful that they were willing to pretend they did not know the truth. In the Dream of the Red Chamber, everyone was dreaming, but they all dreamed differently, and they all woke up in different ways. Bao Yu's dream was the refusal to wake up. He was the only one who had entered the land of illusion, yet he chose to forget. Ever since that dream, he spent his entire life searching for the echoes of that vision, the familiar face of Dayu, and the ghostly sense that everything was already slipping away. He sensed that everything would eventually vanish, but he refused to believe it. He clung desperately to the moment. He cherished every intimate quarrel with Dayu and every poetry session with the girls. He tried to use the fleeting moment to fight against an inevitable destiny, but the moment could not be held. Dayu left, the girls scattered, and the Grandview Garden grew empty. He spent a lifetime reaching for the light, only to find his hands were full of nothing but shadows. Dayu's dream was to dream while her eyes were wide open. She was too clear-headed for her own good. She was the kind of person who saw the fallen petals, even while the flowers were still in full bloom. She was already foreseeing the coming separation, even in the height of a feast. She knew with absolute certainty that she was in a dream, and yet she stepped into it anyway. Her life was the debt of tears, a karmic appointment she kept with destiny, despite knowing how it would end. She spent her existence paying back a spiritual debt from a previous life, one drop at a time. But even as she wept, she never looked away. She watched her own grief, she witnessed her own suffering, and she observed herself walking toward a predetermined end. To dream while fully awake is the ultimate tragedy, because she lacked the one thing that makes life bearable, the ability to lie to herself. Beokai's dream was the pretense of sleep. She understood the rules of reality and exactly what it took to survive within them. She suppressed her true nature, balanced every relationship, and became the most composed and dutiful daughter of the household. She secured the position as Bao Yu's wife, achieving the worldly success everyone expected of her. But in that victory, she lost herself. On her wedding night, as the household celebrated their marriage, Bao Yu whispered the name of his beloved Dayu. Beokai heard him, and she said nothing. She pretended she had not woken up to the truth, but those who pretend to sleep are the only ones who truly know they are lying to themselves. 3 dreams, 3 paths to awakening. Bao Yu's decision to renounce the world was a total awakening, a final letting go. Diyu used death to reject the awakening of a world without him, and Beokai continued to live, but her life became a living sleep, a state of existence more hollow than death itself. Why is it that in the Chinese soul, life is so often likened to a dream? The answer lies in the roots of Buddhism and Taoism. Buddhism teaches that all phenomena are like dreams, bubbles and shadows, like a drop of dew or a flash of lightning. It reveals that all things are born of cause and condition. They arise when they meet, and they vanish when they part. To cling to them is to grasp at the phantoms of a dream. Taoism is even more detached. The philosopher Zhuangzi believed that life and death, dreaming and waking, were one and the same. In a famous story, he dreamed he was a butterfly. When he woke, he could not tell if he was a man who had dreamed of a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming he was a man. He was not confused. He had seen through the vanity of the boundary itself. In the dream of the Red Chamber, the shadows of Buddhism and Taoism were everywhere. A monk and a priest haunt the entire story. They appear at the beginning, at the end, and at every critical moment of fate. They are not there to save the characters from their pain. They were there as a wake-up call, a constant reminder that the dream was ending. The most brutal reminder was a poem called the One Done Psalm. Men all know that salvation should be won, but with ambition won't have done. Where are the famous ones of days gone by? In grassy graves they lie now, everyone. Men all know that salvation should be won, but with their riches won't have done. Each day they grumble, they've not made enough. When they've enough, it's good night everyone. Ambition is a dream. Riches are a dream. The beloved wife is a dream. Descendants are a dream. Everything you think you have grasped must be left behind in the moment your eyes close forever. This is not pessimism. It is a statement of fact. The wisdom of the Buddha and the way is found here. Since nothing can be held, let it go. Since nothing remains, let it leave. Since it is a dream, dream it well. And when the dream is over, wake up. When we look beyond the dream of the Red Chamber, we find that the question of life as a dream is a universal spiritual archetype. In the movie Inception, dreams are nested within dreams. Cobb travels deeper into these layers until he can no longer distinguish between the dream and the reality itself. His totem was a simple spinning top. It was the only evidence he had to judge what was real. What was Bao Yu's totem? It was his spirit jade. It was the only thing he brought with him from the land of illusion, his sole connection to a world that was truly real. But the irony is that he was constantly losing it. Whenever the jade was gone, he would lose his clarity. He became merely a passenger in his own life, completely trapped in the dream, unable to remember who he truly was. In the Truman Show, Truman lives inside a massive television set. His parents, his friends, and even his wife are all actors. When he finally reaches the edge of his world and touches the painted fabric of the sky, what is he thinking? Is he relieved to finally know the truth? Or does he regret looking behind the curtain? In the Jia household, no one dared to touch that fabric. They chose to ignore the cracks in the sky. These stories transcend time and space to speak with the dream of the Red Chamber. They all ask the same terrifying question. How do we know we are not dreaming right now? And if we cannot know the truth for certain, how then are we meant to live? Every story about a dream eventually faces the same question. What comes after the awakening? In Inception, Cobb sets his totem spinning, but before it could fall, he sees the faces of his children. He no longer cares whether he is in a dream or in a reality, because he has chosen to believe. In The Truman Show, Truman steps through the door and into the unknown. He has no idea what lies on the other side, but he walks out anyway. In The Dream of the Red Chamber, Beoyu departs too. He renounces the world and vanishes into the deep snow. A vast white expanse of snow, a world scrubbed clean. Did he truly wake up? We don't know, but in that closing moment he at last stops grasping. He stops grasping for fame, for love, and for the fleeting now. He simply lets go. In the moment he lets go, the dream dissolves. But for those of us still lost in the dream, do we, who are still lost in the dream, have the courage to let go? The core inquiry of The Dream of the Red Chamber has never been whether life is a dream, but a much deeper one. If this is a dream, how should we live? The answer from the Buddha and the Way is simple. See through it and then let it go. Beoyu spent his entire life learning how to let go. Only by losing everything did he realize that nothing had ever belonged to him. In modern stories, awakening is often a battle, but in The Dream of the Red Chamber, awakening is a farewell. It requires no combat, only a turning away. It requires no proof, only a letting go. The One Done song is ultimately a question for every reader. What is it that you are grasping so tightly? What is it that you dare not let go? And the things you believe to be real today, will they still be there tomorrow? Zhuangzi asks these questions. Cao Zuekin asks them. Today, Inception and The Truman Show ask them as well. Regardless of the era, we all face the same dilemma. We cannot distinguish the dream from the truth, yet we are forced to choose a way to exist within it. The answer provided by The Dream of the Red Chamber is surprisingly simple. Since you cannot distinguish the dream from reality, stop trying to separate them. Since you cannot hold on to anything, stop grasping. Since it is a dream, dream it well. And when the moment comes to wake up completely. To see the illusion is the first step to liberation. Seeing the illusion is only the first step. It is not liberation itself, but the beginning. Because once you see clearly, you must still choose. The choice to linger in the dream, or the choice to wake. The choice to grasp, or the choice to depart. Beoyu chose the latter. What about you?